It is the World Cup wrap on Willow Talk, and coming up today, we'll take a very good look at the T20 World Cup so far. Australia are gone. Heavy favourites India are one to watch as well. They were handled by the South Africans. We'll get to that. Sri Lanka in a little bit of trouble as well. The Secret Cricket Club has a few questions for Hads about the World Cup. Australia have announced their one-day international and test tour of South Africa. So we'll talk about that. The first time that the Aussies have been there since Sandpaper Gate. And we'll finish with Australia versus India. Healy back scoring 50s. Starc in the commentary box. And all of a sudden, the women's team starts to look a little bit better. I'm Jack Heverin. Brad Haddin, great to see you. Great to be back talking World Cup and everything else. And we've gone with the same hat as last week. I thought we were going to have something different.
Well, I had a couple of different options in the car, Jack, but I got so much love around the Blockbuster cap on social media, so I've brought it out again. I tell you what I did find interesting. Mitch Starc in the commentary box commentating on his wife. If you work the other way, you can say what you want. Heelzo can say whatever she wants, but Starc, you've got to be very, very careful in the commentary box when you're commentating on your wife.
Well, she batted well yesterday, so that's the positive. What my mind went to straight away, similar to you, Hads, when I was watching, I thought, what if she nicks off for a duck hit? What's he going to say?
Yeah, keep your front elbow up. You didn't get to the wall. It can work only one way. That commentary box. You, as the husband, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble when you walk in the front door.
Just sounds a lot like marriage in general, if I'm being totally honest.
Friday night drinks.
Exactly. Hey, let's start with the World Cup. Super 8s we'll get to in just a moment, but we do need to touch on Australia. When we recorded last week, the Aussies were gone. They still had one match to play against Oman. That was a pretty straightforward victory, as we expected. You said on this show last week that Steve Smith wouldn't play, and you were right.
Well, I've seen that there's no point in changing your whole mindset around what you've planned for with the World Cup. Steve Smith came in as a replacement. There's been a lot of debate whether he should have been in the squad or shouldn't have, but that's the way the Australian selectors went. It was a funny game to watch for the boys, being out of the tournament. It doesn't happen a lot, especially for Australia. It looked a bit of a hollow sort of game, but not much celebrations. Zampa got his 4 wickets. Marshy and Travis Head got runs at the top, but it was a pretty placid sort of game, and you could see you could just see how much the players were hurting. It
sort of felt like the end, didn't it? It felt like for Stoinis, for Maxwell, possibly for Zampa. There's a couple of others as well. Even Mitch Marsh felt like the end of that era of the T20 team, and now we start to look at what's coming up next.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think this team's been successful for a long period of time. They've got some really high-class players in this form of the game, but it did look like a bit of a change in the guard moment. It'll be interesting now to see where this squad goes. Do guys like Maxwell, Stoin, do they call it a time in this form of the game they already have in others, and just continue their franchise cricket around the world and give the next generation of Australian stars the opportunity to put their name on this team leading into the Olympics, we hope, leading into the Olympics. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting next period to see if we have any retirements.
The Olympics are a bit of a watch, aren't they? The path just got a little bit more complicated. Are you available to go over, Hats, for Los Angeles and play some sort of role there?
Well, the only role I think we should play, Jack, is Willow Talk on the road. And I could see no better place to launch that than the Olympics. But I've done a lot of wonderful things in my career, and you've called some great sporting events. But imagine calling cricket or being involved somewhere in the Olympics. That's a bucket list.
I think we just need to be like Lethal Weapon and just we're going to will it. We're going to will it to happen. That's what you and I need to do. We're just going to talk it into existence that we'll be there in LA.
Well, I'm already assuming that we're there.
Okay.
Willow Talk on the road. Let's see how it works. No better place to go than the Olympics. I think we can get some great content. There's the MLC over there as well. We can get some really good stories. And I know our listeners would love for us to go over there and spread the love. So I'm just assuming it's a lay down as there. Thanks, MJ.
And think about, MJ's here too. Think about what we could do for local hospitality too, Hads. You and I, we could really boost business.
We could, There's so many possibilities with that, but
Yep.
I'm glad we're going. So, as I said, thanks, MJ.
So to the T20 World Cup that's on at the moment, Super 8 stage, as we record this morning, West Indies, South Africa, India, Zimbabwe in one group, England, New Zealand, Pakistan and Sri Lanka in the other. We have to talk England first and foremost because that was the result from last night. They beat Pakistan off the back of a stunning Harry Brook century from 51 balls, strike rate of 196. Now, he went up to number 3. It was a bold move in this game, Hads, but it definitely worked.
Yeah, it was a brave move, but I think it was a really smart move also from the English. You need to be adaptable in this form of the game, and you talk a lot about matchups, and Harry Brook's matchup at number 3 was a perfect one. Put Bethel back into the middle order. He didn't score runs, but he can control that middle order as a left-hander with the spin. But I've heard Michael Vaughan call Harry Brook a genius in the making. We've seen some really out-of-the-box sort of innings. One that straight away to mind is the way he played in New Zealand Test Series, where he went after the game and got a big 100 on a green wicket. And this is what you want from your captain. This is what you want from your leader. You want him to be adaptable, but after a tough summer against Australia, you want to see how they bounce back. And this is a Super 8 stage. England are on top of their group. They got 2 wins, and that's what you want to see. You want to see your best players get involved in the game and trying to influence the game as much as possible. And that's exactly what Harry Brook did. So England 2 from 2, which I didn't have England 2 for 2 at this stage in the Super 8s, but they're doing enough.
Well, they didn't look like it at 2 for 17. Pakistan batted first and posted a decent total. Maybe they left a few out there themselves. They ended up at 9 for 164, but England were 2 for 17, and you thought, oh, here they go. But then it was all about Harry Brook. I just wonder, Hads, whether number 3 is on the cards for Harry Brook in all forms of the game in the near future. What do you think?
Oh, well, I think the natural replacement for Rudy's Harry Brook going up to number 4. I'd imagine that they'd like to see Bethel given a really good opportunity now at number 3 after what he did in the last Test match and the Boxing Day Test against Australia. I think he'll get the opportunity for some time now at number 3. But the one thing you want, Jack, you want your best players facing as many balls as you possibly can, especially in this 2020 format. And I don't mind him at number 4. I think he still needs to learn his craft a little bit more with the bat. We've seen that this summer when he was put under pressure. You wouldn't want your number 3 playing some of the shots he did when he was put under pressure. So he's still got some learning to do in the Test arena. But as we've seen a couple of nights back, that he is a high-quality player. He does... The one thing I do like about it, he doesn't walk away from the fire in the big moments. He might get out in unconventional ways and leave himself open to criticism, but the one thing he does look to win a game, and I do like that.
So from a New Zealand point of view now, they play Sri Lanka tonight, again, as we record that. They've got to win. They have to simply win because their match with Pakistan was abandoned because of rain. There's just enough there with this New Zealand batting lineup, isn't there, to think that if they can get through this game and win tonight against Sri Lanka, that they could be dangerous if they get to a final.
Yeah, New Zealand, looking through the list of the Super 8s, I wouldn't want to play New Zealand. They just find a way to get you into the grind at their level. And looking at where the stage has gone at the moment, Zimbabwe, they've scraped through. Oh, well, they're top of the group, but I don't think they'll have much say in the Super 8s. I didn't also think Sri Lanka would have much say in the Super 8 stage as well. So I expect New Zealand to get past Sri Lanka in this match. I tell you what, though, Jack, I'm cheering for Sri Lanka because there's a lot of scenarios. Well, I've never cheered for New Zealand in my life. So. But this could make our Olympic dream a lot different the deeper New Zealand goes. So I think they'll beat Sri Lanka. I hope Sri Lanka enjoy their conditions, but we need New Zealand to lose.
We do. I mean, we're there anyway, you and I, but we need New Zealand to lose. Now, this next portion of Willow Talk, when we're talking about the T20 World Cup, is called Hads' Men, because we're going to highlight 2 men that Brad Haddin loves in T20 cricket that are having a big impact in this tournament. Firstly, Marco Jansen took India apart, 4 for 22 in that game a couple of days ago. And I watched this one in the middle of the night. South Africa were excellent. India were average. But Marco Jansen, I know it's really cheesy to say that he stood tall, but he did.
Well, when we first got the opportunity to see Marco Jansen, it was at King's Punjab. You've got Ricky Ponting there as coach and James Hopes as bowling coach, and I'm there also. And the first thing we said to each other after watching him, we're not sure he knew how good he could be. And I think after a couple of years now, he's just starting to realise. We've seen him dominate test matches in India. He's near 7 foot. He swings the ball at 140 k's left-handed. He's a good catch. And he's got a power game with the bat. So he's going to be really influential in the remainder of this series. And if he can get it right with the new ball, don't be surprised if he's player of the series. And I didn't think I would say this, but a player like Marco can take South Africa right to the final and maybe win it. This is the X-factor player South Africa have been missing. He
kind of seems like he bucks the trend a little bit. Not many quicks go into those conditions, Hads, and have success. But through tests, through obviously the IPL and all that sort of stuff, he bowls really well in conditions that aren't suited to him.
Well, you've got a bigger margin for error when you're that tall. And he's got the ability to swing the ball back at really good pace. His bounce, obviously, he's different to anyone else you face because of his height. And on surfaces go up and down. The ball's never where it should be when you're facing someone like Marco. So I just think he's starting to realise how influential he can be in any form of the game. And, I just think South Africa might just have it right. Yeah, they've got Brevis, Miller, Stubbs. They've got a lot of power. I like Markram at the top to add class. And what he does also, he can play at different stages of the game and at different tempos. He can go really hard at the top, but then he can pull his game back and control the middle overs with spin. And we've seen that in the IPL. So, I just think, and I've never, ever said this, I think South Africa are real smoky for this title.
And then the other is of Hads' man is Shimron Hetmeyer. He dominated for the West Indies the other day, whacked them everywhere. 85 off 34. They belted Zimbabwe. He's another one that might loom large here, but they've got to win here, the West Indies. This game's important for them.
Well, if I'm looking through this stage, the one team I do not want to play is the West Indies. And it'd be a really tough team going into a team meeting to set your game plans and what it looks like. Because if you look at the West Indies, you think, you roll your arm over, you whack a few, and it's an easy win. But all of a sudden, you've got players like Hetmeyer who have done really well in these conditions in the subcontinent. They're very similar to the West Indies. He doesn't like the steep bounce or the pace of the ball. So these wickets effectively are perfect for him to bat. And if he can play innings like this, which we know he can, all of a sudden the 20s and 30s that the West Indies other players contribute make them a really hard team to beat. They do pride themselves on this form of the game. Let's be honest, though. They don't think too much about Test cricket, even one-day cricket these days. It's all about playing as much 2020 cricket as they can, getting noticed by franchises, and they're a team that you would not want to come up against. And Hetmeyer's one of those players. It's rocks or diamonds. He could come past and run past the first ball of his innings, or he could hit the first 5 balls of his innings for 4 or 6. So, West Indies are dangerous off the back of someone like Hetmeyer.
So, a week on from when we last recorded this show, has your prediction changed to win the tournament at all? You loved India a week ago. They lost. I don't know if they got too much to worry about. They were just beaten on the day. But who wins it right now?
Right now, I still think South Africa and India will be there and thereabouts. I think that'll be the final. India have got a lot of players at the moment out of form. But if it was a test match or one days, you'd worry more about it. But in a 2020, I'm not too concerned about it. You one good cover drive or a shot out in the middle of the bat to get you back into form. The one thing you don't want to do is get those players doubting their ability. You want Abhishek Sharma. Mate, what's gone before is gone before. You're in the team to play a certain role, and that's a high-risk role. And if he comes good once or twice in the next couple of games, you win those games. So I'm not too worried about their form slumps now because of the format they're playing. So I still expect India, and I do expect South Africa to be there at the end.
Looking forward to that. A couple of big games coming up in the Super 8 stage. To Secret Cricket Club, which is an enormous part of this show, Hads. I've been listening for a long time to Willow Talk, and I love some of the questions that come through that kind of just force you to open up a little bit and just take us behind the curtain a little bit. You can send us through your questions on Instagram. You can hit us up there at any time, of course, and send through your questions for Hads, for Secret Cricket Club. But we've got a few that are banked at the moment, so let's just kind of deal with these. Firstly, Masters asks, how do you rate Mitch Marsh as a captain?
I think the one thing we've seen with Mitch Marsh over a period of time, he's got success out of this group. They've done some really good things in this form of the game. We can't judge him on this one tournament on what's happened there. There's a few injuries, but I'm interested to see what Mitch Marsh does with his career. How much cricket he's got left personally, and not with form, but at the international level. Has he had enough now? He's won World Cups. He's won in 2020 and 50 over format. I'm curious where he goes now. Whether he says I've had enough. He's got a young family now, where he's earned the right to play franchise cricket around the world. So yeah, that's what I'm more interested to see in what Mitch decides to do moving forward.
Shiraz asks...
Yes, please.
Sorry. I was going to say, I feel like I met Shiraz last night, actually. Shiraz asks, are the Windies giving 2016 vibes?
Yep, they are. They are, definitely, Jack. And because they love this form of the game, they picked a team just on brute power. They're also a team that can be bowled out for 50, but they can also make 250. They're a really hard team to play against. And it makes them an even more dangerous team with the wickets. They're low wickets. They do play the spin as well. So, yeah, they are giving vibes of 2006. And I don't think their depth is as good as 2016. But they do have enough match winners to make you nervous if they go off.
T asks, is every 2 years too often for a World Cup?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it is. I think you can play less and less 20 cricket at internationally, and then the 2 years is a perfect time for the World Cup. I don't think you need to tack 2020 games onto the back end of the series, maybe leading into a World Cup. You can have a block leading in. But with all the franchise cricket played around the world now, I don't think countries need to be playing one off or two 2020 games against each other. I think that the World Cup and franchise cricket's enough.
I reckon it's one of those things, Hads, that we say it's too often every 2 years until the tournament starts, and then we go, this is good. Now we're hooked in. Liam asks, are George Bailey's days numbered?
Oh, George Bailey. Well, George has won everything. If you look back through the Ashes, they pulled all the right strings with their bowlers. The call that they made around Paddy Cummins to play that test match in Adelaide to win the series was a masterstroke, not only from George, Andrew McDonald, and Paddy also to make himself available. So I don't think George's days are numbered at all. At the end of a big series, when you got knocked out the way Australia have, I think there's always questions asked, and Australia will not hide behind a really solid review. But I don't think George Bailey's name will come up.
I think we sort of touched on this last week a little bit, didn't we, with the T20 selection, that it wasn't like there was a stack of other options to choose from. So if you say, well, it shouldn't have been Glenn Maxwell, well, who should it have been? If you say that it shouldn't have been Cameron Green, for example, well, who should it have been? We don't have a lot of options in the short form right now, do we?
No, and the only selection that's come up is Steve Smith.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, if you're looking back, the Australian team won everything leading into this World Cup. So they had a pretty settled team. They had guys coming back from injury. And we probably hit a snag where we had too many players just miss form at the one time, which in tournament play is a rare event, actually, for the Australians, because they pride themselves on the way we play tournament play. So, yeah, as I said, I don't think George's days are numbered.
Couple of quick ones to finish off. Ruben asks, what is your favourite World Cup memory?
My favourite World Cup memory? It's pretty hard to go past Brendan McCullum getting bowled.
Oh,
at
yes.
the MCG.
2015.
Yeah.
Yes.
The moment half an hour before I thought was going to be the moment singing the anthem with 95,000 Australians singing it with you was pretty moving. That I thought was going to be the moment. But when we bowled Brendan McCullum, and there's this backstory to that, is Mitchell Starc planned that with bowling coach Craig McDermott. They'd watched a lot of footage of Brendan McCullum throughout the tournament, and in his first few balls in every game, he charged and gave up his stumps. And Mitchell Starc said, well, I'll just attack the stumps. I'll bowl Yorkers my first few balls and make him make a decision because we know what he's going to do. And it worked perfectly. And then the way the Coliseum erupted was as good as it gets. Yes, you had the party afterwards, the winning moment. But that moment there was as special as I've been a part of in a World Cup.
I still maintain, Hads, that I've called a lot of AFL at the MCG and other things. Yep. I still maintain that when that wicket went down, that's the loudest roar I've ever heard at the MCG, ever.
Yeah, and I agree. And I reckon the other one that was close was Scotty Boland when he got his 7 for.
Yep.
But you're right. That was the loudest moment I've ever been a part of when McCullum got his stumps knocked over.
Last one, Bianca asks, thoughts on Italy's first World Cup?
Loved it. I absolutely loved everything. I love the Mosca boys at the top. I love the passion they played with. I love the Menenti boys, the way they went about it. And I tell you what I like most about all that, and we can talk about that they got the opportunity to play against England, is they pushed teams. They weren't there just to make up the numbers. Yes, it was going to be hard to get a result, but they got their result against Ireland. But they wanted to win. They wanted to win every game. Against England, they pushed England, and they weren't there to make up the numbers. Yes, in the end, England had too much class, but it was a great starting point. And it's another opportunity for also Willow Talk to get on the road and go and have a look at cricket in Europe. And just let's have a look and ask some questions. And I know MJ's listening again, so make sure you take that note down once again. But it's a great opportunity for all of us to go and see the inner workings of the Italian cricket team.
I'm just kind of mapping out a Willow Talk European tour here, Hads. We could go Italy, Netherlands, Ireland, Scotland.
Yep.
Yeah. This.
And you've got the new competition in Europe as well. So it's always good to be there involved in something that's brand new with the energy around. So I just see so many opportunities. But to answer Bianca's question, I loved everything about what the Italy boys brought.
And I love the Secret Cricket Club questions. Keep them coming through on social media. We'll dive into a few of those next week as well. On the other side of this, we'll talk about the Aussies who had a good win against India in the one-day international yesterday. And Australia headed back to South Africa. Some good, some bad, and some downright horrible memories of Australia on tour in South Africa. That's all still to come here on Willow Talk. Great to have you with us on Willow Talk. Brad Haddin and Jack Heverin. You can always get involved in the show on social media. Hit us up on Instagram. Our DMs are always open. Send us through your thoughts. Send us through your questions for the next lot of Secret Cricket Club questions.
Got to love them, don't you?
We do. Well, we've built a European tour off the back of the Secret Cricket Club questions, Hats.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait. It's going to be absolutely enormous to get on the road.
I can't wait for that one. I just got to make sure I'm part of it. Hey, let's talk about South Africa. And I mentioned it before the break. There's good memories, there's bad memories, and there's some horrific memories as well.
There is. But the announcement of the ODIs and Test series, I think in September, October, I can't wait for this series. And, Jack, to answer that, yes, there's been some great memories in South Africa. There's been some horrible ones which we try to forget, but we've learnt from. But the reason I'm looking forward to this Test match series is South Africa are playing some high-quality cricket. They've got some aggressive fast bowlers. They've got some batters that are starting to come into their peak. And they honestly think that they'll beat Australia. And that's what I'm looking forward to. They beat Australia in the World Test Championship. So now Australia get the opportunity to play 3 tests, and let's see who the best Test match team is out of South Africa and Australia at the moment. We'll have some changes. We've obviously lost Usman at the top of the order, so we'll have some changes there. Let's hope all our 3 fast bowls are ready to go, because I think this is going to be a brutal series. I think it's going to be dominated by some really aggressive fast bowling and some batters that are going to be put under pressure. And I think also it's going to be a really hostile crowd. Australia going to have to find a way to deal with a really hostile crowd. I know they go back to Cape Town. They've got a test match in Durban. Port Elizabeth, I've played there. Mate,
it gets a bit hostile there.
Yeah, but they are very, very friendly with their advice on the way you batting, bowling, or fielding. So I think it's going to be a cracker series. And the reason I say that, most of all, is because there's 2 teams at the top of their game.
How hard is it to play in South Africa? The conditions are said to be similar to what it's like at home, but what is it like when you get on the plane, you go over there, and you're trying to get acclimatised to what their conditions are like?
Yeah, it's a good place for Australians to go from a cricket point of view, because it's so similar to home. It's as close as you get anywhere around the world to the surfaces that we play on here. It suits fast bowling. The one thing you've got to get used to more is the crowd. The crowd are hostile. At times, it's bordering on brutal. But the Australians will enjoy that. And South Africa cricket is starting to have a bit of since the 2020 competitions come back in, a bit more money is come back into South African cricket. They're starting to be the real find of the last couple of years. They're on a trajectory up.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah. And they'll see this as a great opportunity to stamp their authority on the world game and say, no, we're on the way back. We're not here just to compete with Australia. We're here to dominate this series, but I don't think they will.
No, I think about some of the memories of Australia and South Africa over there too. I mean, there's the obvious, which we'll get to in a second, but Paddy Cummins in 2011, that was the beginning of what's become one of the great test careers in Australian cricket, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And that was off the back of when we got bowled out for 40.
That's right.
So we had to find a way to respond then. And on that tour, we had a young Australian captain in the making, Paddy Cummins. He was very, very raw. He was very, very quick. That's the first thing that we all noticed about him. But the one thing he was highly skillful. And we got a taste in that first test. He was man of the match. He had the winning runs when we chased over 300 in the last innings and in Joburg off the back of that disaster in Cape Town. But, yeah, there's been some great contests there. I remember off the back of the 2014 Ashes going to play the first test as Centurion. Yep. And the wicket was a bit up and down. And Mitchell Johnson, I remember he hit, I think it was Elmer straight on the would have broke his nose and all of his face, but the helmet saved him. Hit Ryan McLaren in the ear, and he had blood coming out of his ear. It was brutal fast bowling. And then at the other end, AB de Villiers was playing Mitch like a spinner. He was working and he showed his class. So and the one thing the South Africans do, they don't like us. They don't like us at all. So
yeah, I think they dislike Australia more than we dislike them, don't they?
Yeah, I think you're right. So they'll have the whole country up for this one.
28. It will be the big talking point in the lead up to the series. Is Australia returning for the first time since 2018? Now, you were a part of the group when everything happened with Sandpaper Gate. We don't need to go back and pull it apart incident by incident, but I know it's you and I have spoken about this sort of off air and over a beer and all that sort of stuff. That I know it's still pretty raw for you. How do you think it will be for some of those involved, Steve Smith in particular, when they go back there?
Yeah, I'd imagine you'd have some sort of apprehension about leaving the shores and going back into the unknown, how the crowd will respond. But I think that time has passed. That there's all punishments been done. We've seen guys come back into the game and performed. I think the big talking point's going to be, yes, we can go back to all those sort of things, and we'll try to paint the picture and start the theme of and the theatre of what the first test is going to be like. But I think the big talking point is you're going to have the two best teams, the two best test teams in the world, going head to head, and I think that'll override anything else.
Nothing's surer than Steve Smith making 100 in the first test, is there?
Yep.
Nothing is surer.
Yep. Yep. Put your house on it now. Steve Smith, just block everything out, get in his own bubble, and you'll see after about 15 balls, you go, okay, Steve Smith 100.
So that's to come a little bit later on in the year. What's happening right now, though, is Australia v India. Now, India had the better of the Aussie women during the T20 series. They've definitely improved their T20 game. We spoke about this last week on the show. Their fielding, their bowling has got a lot better, but improved performance by the Aussies in the one-day form, where they are the dominant team and have been for 2 decades now, basically. But Beth Mooney got runs, Annabelle Sutherland got runs and saw Australia home. But the thing closest to our heart on Willow Talk here, of course, Hads, is A. Healy getting runs on the John Farnham Farewell Tour.
Well, the other thing is, yes, Healy got runs, but it's also a presence in the team. India are very good during the 2020 series, and that's a byproduct of also, and you've seen it in the men's IPL, but now the women's IPL, have seen the standards that the other countries set. India have always been the most talented cricketers, skillful wise, but what we are seeing now in this women's game is the athleticism, the importance that they put now on tactics, on their fielding and catching, and that was the big surprise to me, is how the Indian women presented in that form of the game. But the other thing with this series, the points carry over into the one-day series, into the one-off test match in Perth, where Healy will get 100 to finish a career, but that's another thing. But I like that the Aussies are playing behind. This is a champion team. There's not many more highly credited teams around world sport than what this team's achieved. So I like that they're playing from behind, and I think now we're going to see the real class of this team coming out in the next coming weeks.
Also think, and it's hard because they've got so many good spinners, but I just reckon this Aussie team's a better team when Alana King plays.
100%. I would have Alana King, no matter what form of the game it is, I would have her in the team. It's like watching Morny. She wants the ball all the time. She wants to find a way she can influence the game. She's got a smile on her face. And the one thing most of all, she's a competitor. She wants to win. So I love it that she's back in the team.
So are you just saying now that if we look forward to the test that is coming up when we get together next week, we'll talk more about the test against India in Perth. Are you picturing a trademark A. Healy cut shot or cover drive for 4 to bring up the 100 with Titanic music in the background?
100%.
Because I am.
100%. I think she's writing her own script. Both Mitch and Heel's top score is 99 in test matches.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to see that at the end of the career. I think we need to see one of the Starks have 100 in test match. And I'm not sure Mitch is going to get one with the bat. Mind you, the way he batted during the Ashes. But I think we're going to see a Healy 100 to clinch not only the test match, but this series for the Aussies.
That would be the perfect way to end.
Perfect.
Let's again, much like our European tour, we've just got to will it into existence, Hads. We've got to talk it into existence.
My phone's gone off I can just see it out of the corner of my eye. And a lot of high management a message in, and one said, Hads, be careful with what you're saying here. But I'm all for it. I know Healy will do that, and I know we're going on a European trip. Just
be careful with those messages from higher management, because it might be that we're getting the arse. So just be careful with those. A lot of fun as always. You can hit us up on social media. Instagram in particular, I mentioned our DMs are always open here on Willow Talk, and we'll fire off a few more of your secret cricket club questions next week. When we get back together, Hads, we'll have a very fair idea of what the business end of the T20 World Cup looks like. So as always, nice to see you.
Keep it real, Jack.
Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next week on Willow Talk.